Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today is 14th of September and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in this video we are going to discuss the entire analysis of Hindu. We'll take all articles along with the background as well as way forward. And I would also like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this particular session from the Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. Now first of all, let's take overview and let's understand that which articles are important in the today's newspaper. So here on first page we have article talking about the Nipah virus. So we'll see what is this Nipah virus and issues related to it. Will take up special session to discuss Parliament 75-year journey. So basically, guys, government has organized a special session for Parliament from September 18 to 22. So government has released the agenda that they will discuss 75-year journey. Will take up some of the bills and particularly the bill on the appointment of chief election commissioner will be taken up. Okay, when this session will held and when the important takeaways will come, we'll take it up. Right now, no need to read this particular article. Then further moving on, after that, we have these advertisements. Then we have again moving on advertisements, nothing else. In city section, we have the regional issues, etc. Nothing much important is given for the exam point of view. So guys will directly be moving on in this particular direction. Okay, then these advertisements, etc. are there. Study ecological dynamics of Nipah virus will include this particular article. So there was a first page article, then there is this article on Nipah, and then there is also one more article on editorial. So we'll club and we'll take all that comprehensive picture. Then we have these tenders and advertisements coming to editorial. A mockery of pedagogic ethics. We'll take this article for the exam point of view. Then here this particular article is again talking about the Nipah virus. We'll take this particular article also. Then going the complex path of biofuel sustainability will take this particular article also. Now article talks about the latest CPI data. Okay, now basically article is talking about inflation trends, that okay, inflation increase then decrease then increase. So month by month inflation trends are being discussed here. Now such kind of articles are not that much important because guys, by the time you will be writing your exam, these particular datas will be changed and month by month data, trends on inflation, etc. Such things are not asked in the examination also. Fine. Moving on. After that, we have this article protecting floodplains. We'll take this particular article. Friends with benefits at Karnataka. So this is a state of play article talking about the Karnataka. Fine for JDS and alliance with the BJP could be valuable. Nothing much important. This is a political article. So no need to go in this for exam. If you have an interest, you can read it, but for not for exam. The deadliest and strongest earthquakes recorded in history. Fine. So, so basically, guys, here we have seen basically now you might have known this thing already. I have told you also in the newspaper session that a deadly earthquake has struck near Morocco, in which hundreds and hundreds, in fact, thousands of people have died. Now, here article is talking about the deadliest of the earthquakes. Okay, so the China in 1556 there was an earthquake, 8.3 lakh people died. This is something. So nothing concept is there, just that data is being given. Then coming to text and context page, so there is this article analyzing the global stock take report. We'll take this article. Then what is the battle over the PLO symbol in Ladakh? Find why the administration refused to recognize the party symbol of PLO for the national conference. Nothing important for exam is given here. No need to go too much in this particular detail. Then moving on, the rebirth and abrogation of Article 370. So this is a bibliography article talking about the plots of these books that have been given. Then further moving on in this direction. After that, two army officers, fine, two army officers, one J&K police deputy P died. Okay. Now moving on, guys, in this particular direction, we have then moving on in this particular direction. Then we have these articles: cabinet BJP pass resolution lauding PM over G20 summit. Okay. Then there are these political articles. Understand this particular thing. Nothing much important has been given in this particular section for the exam point of view. So therefore, we will be moving on. Here we have this article for sickle cell patients and elusive disability certificate. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about sickle cell disease, there is a proposal that tribal people of India, they largely get infected by sickle cell disease. So any person above 5 years of age having sickle cell disease, they should be given the permanent disability certificate. But ministries have not been able to finalize this particular thing from past 3 years. So this is that has been provided. Okay, fine. Then further moving on, President launches Ayushman Bhav campaign. We'll take this particular article for exam. Then further moving on, Russia will help North Korea satellite plan. Fine. Uh, Moving on, here we have an article. Government will protect industry from EU's carbon law. We'll briefly take up this particular article as what it is talking about. US consumer price accelerate on petrol. Nothing important for examination. Tesla to source $2 billion in auto parts from India. Nothing much important for exam point of view. Then we have the sports page. And guys, here on science page, there is one article today talking about the Aditya L1 mission. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that the science page basically it contains many number of times core articles on physics, chemistry, some research paper is being analyzed, some finding which was reported in some of a journal. Okay, fine, those kind of a things, they are, guys, not at all important for examination, because in examination we need to prepare largely for science and technology. Okay, so core findings of physics, theoretical physics, research papers on that, viewpoints, peer reviews, etc. are not important. Today article is talking about Aditya L1 mission. However, I have discussed, I think, at least 12, 13 times this particular Aditya L1 mission in lot more detail earlier also. Fine, we'll take it up. So this is about the newspaper overview for today. Now let's discuss all relevant articles one by one in detail. So guys, this is the synoptic notes that you can download from our Telegram channel. In every class, we start with a GS quotation, which can be used to complement your answers in GS 1, 2, 3 or in essay. So today we'll take the quotation from Mehboob ul Haq. Now, Mehboob ul Haq says that in the last analysis, human security means. Now, he talks about the idea of human security. We talk about food security, national security, but most comprehensive is human security. So he says human security means a child who did not die. Now, a child who did not die, maybe because of some avoidable disease, maybe because of hunger, maybe because of some other thing. A child who not die, a disease that did not spread. Okay, an ethnic tension that did not explode, a dissident who was not silenced, a human spirit that was not crushed. So all these are the conditions of human security. So a child, so basically human security, it is a comprehensive concept. A child who did not die because health was not there, because nutrition was not there, because early care was not given. A disease that not spread, it means the health systems were there in place. Fine, new pandemics are not coming, they are being managed. Ethnic tension that did not explode. A dissident who was not silenced means the people's political rights of freedom, they are being respected, and a human spirit that was not crushed. Aspirations were met, capabilities were built. If these things are happening, then human security is being fulfilled. So this is about it, and you can use this particular idea comprehensively in essay paper. You can use it in essay paper, and in fact, GS2, GS3 ethics, GS2, GS3 and ethics, you can use this particular idea. Why? It is a very impactful and a very wide idea that is there. Then moving on to next first article for today. Okay, so here we have clubbed two articles. Both are from Hindu newspaper. Actually, in fact, three articles I have clubbed here. There is also one more article that was there in the regional section. Okay, now the article is talking about Nipah cases rises to 5 in Kerala, 789 contacts kept under watch. We'll take this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2 health. GS paper number 2 health. Now, first of all, few basic information we'll take about Nipah virus. Now, this is not provided in the article, so please download the synoptic notes. So when we talk about Nipah virus. So Nipah virus, first of all, Nipah virus. So when we talk about Nipah virus can affect both human as well as animals, and this virus belongs to belongs to Paramoxiviridae family of viruses. Paramoxiviridae family of viruses. Now, this Paramoxiviridae family of viruses includes the viruses such as measles for measles, and mumps also include in this particular family. Now, when we talk about Nipah virus, it is attributed as it is a zoonotic virus, means that original reservoir of these particular virus is animals, and in the case of Nipah virus, original reservoir are bats and pigs. So from bats and pigs, through their bodily fluids, it is transmitted to human, and then human to human transmission happens. So original reservoir are bats and pigs, and from there it reaches to human, and then human to human transmission happens. Okay, so by close contact, humans can get infected by this Nipah virus. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the virus, there are a kind of a correlation that you need to understand. See, the virus, if it is more contagious, if it is more contagious, then fatality usually is low. But if it is less contagious, fatality is actually very much high. Now, when we talk about COVID-19, COVID-19 was highly contagious. Therefore, fatality was low. When we talk about the Nipah virus, it is moderately contagious. Fatality stands, or mortality stands, around 70%. 70%. There are some other viruses, Ebola viruses, fine, which are not that much contagious. See, they are contagious. It doesn't mean that it will not spread. It is contagious, but not that much compared to COVID-19. But fatality is very much high. Now, when we talk about Nipah virus, it is contagious, moderately contagious, and because of that, fatality will be high. Around 70% fatality means people suffering from Nipah virus, 70% will not be able to recover. Now, when we talk about symptoms of the Nipah virus, symptoms include fever, headache, drowsiness, disorientation, confusion, and then in severe cases, it leads to the inflammation of brain. Respiratory symptoms are also common in Nipah virus. So all these are the details about the Nipah virus. Then moving on, guys, when we talk about Nipah virus again breakout has happened in Kerala, and basically when we talk about Kerala, now we find this particular thing, that after regular and frequent intervals, Nipah virus is resurging in Kerala. Now, when we talk about the Nipah virus, this is the fourth outbreak. This is the fourth outbreak of Nipah virus in Kerala in the last 5 years, and this is the second outbreak in Kozhikode region. Fourth outbreak, and second is in Kozhikode. Now, as we talk about this Nipah virus, there is no cure as of now for this virus. Only supportive care can be provided. Okay, supportive care by which the symptoms can be reduced can be provided. Now, for controlling this Nipah virus, a control room has been opened in Kozhikode. The people who have got infected, they are being quarantined, their contacts are being traced, and also the neighboring states are taking the preparatory steps so that from their borders the virus doesn't reaches these particular states. So these are the details specific to Nipah virus. Now moving on to the broader dimension of this particular development. Now see this particular thing, Nipah virus, it is a zoonotic disease. COVID was a zoonotic disease. Okay, Ebola, zoonotic disease. Okay, so point is that we see that now these zoonotic diseases are wreaking havoc quite frequently. Why? It is because that the humans are not respecting their boundaries with the ecosystem. Now understand this particular thing. What has happened when we talk about the global outbreak of Nipah virus, it is because of the anthropogenic activity. Humans have extended the field of their farming. Humans are extending their settlement, and they are entering those regions in which the bats which contain Nipah virus are living. Now, when we talk about in the case of Kerala, fruit bat, from the fruit bat, Nipah virus has transmitted to humans. And why it has happened? Because of the expansion of agricultural activity in the habitat zone of this fruit bat. So we are entering in the habitat zone of fruit bat, and from there, these viruses are getting transmitted to humans. So humans need to respect the boundaries between the human zone as well as the zone of the wild animals and birds, who are often the carriers of these deadly viruses. Now, after the coming of COVID-19 pandemic, one idea became quite popular. That is idea of One Health concept. Now, what is One Health concept? So basically, it is provided that the health of three are interlinked. For example, health of environment, health of environment, health of animal, health of environment, health of animal, and human health. So where all three will be healthy, this particular zone is the zone of One Health. So we need to focus on One Health. We need to ensure environment is healthy, animal is healthy, human is healthy. When all will be healthy, then only it could be sustainable. Then the One Health will be achieved. So these are some important lessons that we need to focus upon. We also need to ensure this particular thing. We also need to ensure this particular thing, that we need to ramp up the health infrastructure so that we have capabilities to deal with these deadly outbreaks. Okay, moving on to the next article. Okay, launches Ayushman Bhav Health Campaign. President launches Ayushman Bhav Health Campaign. Now, this article will take with respect to GS paper number 2, social justice, as well as within health. We can take this particular article. Okay. Sir, is quote also include one of words in answer? Dear, your question doubt is not clear. Please ask again. And meanwhile, a very good morning to all of you who have uh, wished a good morning. A very good morning to all of you. Now, moving on, President Draupadi Murmu has recently launched Ayushman Bhav campaign. Ayushman Bhav campaign. Now, what is this Ayushman Bhav campaign? We'll understand this particular thing in the most simple terms. What are the components of that? We will also understand that. Now, first of all, as we talk about this particular campaign has been initiated jointly by many of the actors. For example, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is involved, which is spearheading this particular campaign. Along with that, civil society organization, communities, fine, gram panchayats, Department of Health, and other government departments. Okay, local elected bodies. Fine, they all are going to play part here. Understand this particular thing. The campaign is being initiated by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, but it is a collaborative approach. Collaborative approach means that apart from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, all these actors are also going to come together. Now, what is this particular campaign? This particular campaign, guys, aims to provide saturation coverage of healthcare service. Now, what is the meaning of this particular word, saturation coverage? Everyone has copied and pasted this word only. PIB, Hindu, other websites, news websites. Now, what is saturation coverage? See this thing. Basically, government is already providing the Ayushman Bharat. Government is running the Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan. Under Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, 5 lakh rupees of health cover is being provided. Okay, 5 lakh rupees of health cover is being provided. Beneficiaries will be identified on the basis of the socio-economic caste census beneficiaries data. Now understand this thing. Now understand this particular thing. Suppose suppose there is any scheme, let's say there is X scheme, or let's say there is Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan. When we talk about Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, let's say there are 50 lakh people who are to be provided the benefit of Ayushman Bharat, but you know that scheme will never reach to 50 lakh people. There might be 30 lakh people to whom the scheme will reach. 20 lakh people, either they don't know about that scheme, or they don't have basic documents to get the benefit of that particular scheme, or basically they are as a red tape because of which they are not getting enrolled in that particular scheme. So there are few people, or I say a large chunk of people, which are actually the beneficiaries of scheme. They are eligible under that particular scheme, but they are never able to take benefit of that particular scheme. So in order to reach those people who have not been able to take benefit, saturation coverage is provided. Saturation coverage means all the 100% of beneficiaries who were intended, they should get the benefit of the scheme. So to reaching all the people who have been left uncovered under a scheme, that attempt is called as the saturation coverage. So saturation coverage of healthcare services is being done. So there is Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, then there is National Health Mission. There are many schemes that are there. I will show you their names also. So we'll ensure that all these schemes reach to their intended beneficiaries. And there is Seva Pakhwada that is being launched. What is a Seva Pakhwada? Seva Pakhwada, it is a service campaign, a campaign which will be launched from September 17th to October 2nd. October 2nd. During this time, a targeted and a mission-based campaign will be taken up and will try to reach all these people who have been uncovered. And therefore, civil society, communities, government act sectors, panchayats, all they are going to participate here. Now, as we talk about this Ayushman Bhav Abhiyan, Under this, there are three components that are there. Three components that are there. Number one, Ayushman Aapke Dwar 3.0. Ayushman Aapke Dwar 3.0. So the people who are beneficiaries of Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, but they have not been able to get benefit. The people who are beneficiaries but have not been enrolled into the Jan Arogya Yojana, Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan scheme, they will be enrolled in that. They will be enrolled in that. There will be Ayushman Mela that will be started in Health and Wellness Center. HWC stand for Health and Wellness Center. What are these Health and Wellness Center? Under Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, 1.5 lakh health and wellness centers will also be developed. So two components are there under Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan. 5 lakh rupees of health cover and 1.5 lakh health and wellness center. So at these health and wellness center and the community healthcare center, these Ayushman Bharat Melas will be launched, where people will be given Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan health IDs. Okay. Also, the early diagnosis will be done of some of the diseases, teleconsultation. Okay. People can meet the specialist. All these things will be done here. After that, moving on, there will be Ayushman Sabhas. What are Ayushman Sabhas? Ayushman Sabhas are the meetings and gatherings. And in these meetings and gatherings, Ayushman Abhiyan, Ayushman card will be given. Awareness will be raised in the people about the schemes that are there for the health sector. For example, there is for tuberculosis, sickle cell disease, as well as for many other diseases, there are the dedicated, targeted schemes that government is running. So people will be given awareness that you need to come and you need to take benefit of all these particular schemes. So in totality, this will be a mission-based intervention. It is a mission-based intervention that will be taken up between 17 September to 2nd October, 17 September to 2nd October, under which there will be the saturation coverage that will be done. So guys, you need to use these particular words. For example, you need to use these particular words. For example, now when we talk about the saturation coverage, it is a very big problem in almost all the government schemes. Do you think that all 100% beneficiaries are able to take advantage? No, never that happens. So it is a particular thing that you can give a suggestion also that it should be improved. Then further moving on to next article, analyzing the global stock take report. Analyzing the global stock take report. Okay. So this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3 environment. GS paper number 3 environment. Okay, by the way, if you remember, I have discussed this particular article also with you just 2 days back. GS paper number 3 environment. Okay. Now, first of all, let's understand some of the basic information and then we'll go in this particular article. Okay. Okay. So basically, guys, what has happened recently? United Nation Climate Secretariat has released the Global Stock Take Report. This Global Stock Take Report is also called as the Synthesis Report. Okay. So, Global Stock Take Report has been released by the United Nation Climate Secretariat. One thing I want to tell you, there is also the Synthesis Report that is released by the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So, recently, actually not recently, last to last year, IPCC came out with their sixth assessment report. There also synthesis report was released. That was a different one. This is a different one. So, global stock take report. Now, what is this global stock take report? Let's understand this thing. So, basically, guys, in 2015, Paris Agreement was signed by the countries who are the signatories of UNFCCC. UNFCCC stands for United Nation Framework Convention on Climate Change. So basically, under United Nation Framework Convention on Climate Change, the member countries, they signed this Paris Agreement. And as a part of the Paris Agreement, they said this particular thing, that we will ensure that the temperature that is rising, it should not rise beyond 2 degrees Celsius and if possible 1.5 degrees Celsius. So you say that this year I will get all India rank 10 and if possible I will get all India rank 1. So same way, we'll try to reduce the temperature, we'll try to ensure that it doesn't rises beyond 2 degree, and if better 1.5 degree we will also try to accomplish. Now, if you want to reach this particular target, you need to take some steps. Your target is to be an IAS. You have to take some steps. You have to study. You have to do this. You have to do this. Now, what happens after every few days? You need to analyze that, okay, whether I am doing the enough of work so that I will reach my target, whether I am doing the enough of hard work so that I reach my target. You need to analyze your progress. In the same way, in 2015, as these targets were taken up, the countries were expected to analyze that whether they are moving in the direction of reaching their target or not. And for that particular thing, from time to time, what is done, they analyze their performance, and their performance report card is presented in this global stock take report. Stock take means we are analyzing what is the progress that has happened. Now, this global stock take report, which has been released, it has given 17 key findings, and it says very clearly that the world is not on track to achieve Paris Agreement target. The world is not on track to achieve Paris Agreement target. Means we are not on track to reach this target and this target. Means a temperature rise will go beyond 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, now understand this thing, that this particular year in November, COP28, Conference of Parties 28, will be held in Dubai. Will be held in Dubai. And this global stock take report will be discussed in this COP28. It will become a template. Now, this is not the first time that this particular report has been given. Earlier, multiple reports have come. IPCC 6 assessment report has said this thing, that we are not on a target, not on a direction to meet the Paris Agreement. And even few days back, there was this global emission report that was also released. And if you remember, we have discussed this global emission report in the newspaper analysis also. According to this United Nations Global Emission Gap Report, it is provided that if we want to reach what Paris Agreement had expected, we need to reduce 23 billion ton of CO2. 23 billion ton of CO2 that we are emitting. We need to ensure that we reduce the CO2 emission by 23 billion ton. But as of now, what the countries are doing, we will be able to cut only 2 to 3 billion ton. How much we need to cut? 23. But how much we are able to cut by what we are doing right now? Only 2 to 3 billion ton. So anyhow, Paris Agreement will not be fulfilled. Okay, so guys, understand this thing, that we need to come out with change. Now, understand one particular thing, that radical change, rapid change could be disruptive. There are many countries such as, there are many such countries which are poor, underdeveloped. For example, even if we talk about India, India right now relies a lot on coal energy. More than 51% of India's installed electricity is coming from the coal powered plants. So, radical and disruptive change might not be desirable, but we need to ensure that soon we are coming out with some feasible strategies. Now, according to this particular report, it says that greenhouse gas emission is to be reduced by 43% by 2030, 60% by 2035, and net zero by 2050 if you want to reach the Paris Agreement. But we are not in a path of that. So we need to focus immediately on developing renewable energy. Deforestation is to be stopped. Land degradation that is happening, it is to be stopped. We need to invest in technologies. Climate financing, climate funding is to be provided to developing countries such as India, so that they can use that particular money for climate mitigation, for building better technologies. So this is something that has to be done in this particular direction. Fine. Moving on to next article. Moving on to next article. Transfer of personal data under UN treaty will be under domestic laws. Now, guys, nothing much is there in this particular article. Just a two-line concept. So basically, guys, what is happening right now under the United Nations? This UN Cybercrime Convention is being discussed. As of now, it has not got passed. As of now, it has not got adopted. It might be adopted in 2024. It might be adopted in 2024. But right now, discussions on this UN Cybercrime Convention is going on. Now, it is just a one-liner concept that India has provided, that we are serious, we want to stop cybercrimes. Cybercrimes are a very big issue. But under this UN Cybercrime Convention, if any data is to be shared, any personal data is to be shared, then that data sharing will happen as per the India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act that was enacted by Parliament in 2023. Okay, They say that we will not share any data just simply because UN is asking the data or any international body is asking the data. We'll share only that data which our Digital Personal Data Protection Act will allow. And as per this particular act, we can process data in the interest of sovereignty, integrity, and um, it is provided that if any data is to be provided, will provide only under this, will not bow down under the international pressure. This is something that has come in this particular direction. Beyond that, guys, nothing is right now. Moreover, this treaty might get accepted in 2024. So as of now, only discussions are going on. And for that purpose, no need to follow that too much. But if you are writing in GS paper number 3 internal security, where there is a cyber threat, cyber crimes that are there, you can give your point that right now UN cyber crime convention is underway and it needs to be adopted as soon as possible so that a comprehensive control, comprehensive check on cyber crimes can be imposed. So this is an indirect use in GS paper number 3. Okay, moving on to next article, the complex path to biofuel sustainability. Now, this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3 environment. GS paper number 3 environment. Now, before going on in this particular article, let's take some of the basic background information. So, basically, guys, recently G20 summit has been concluded in India. By the way, on all the key takeaways of G20 summit, I have made already a detailed video on 11th of September. You can go and you can watch it. So 9th and 10th G20 meet, sorry, on 11th of September as G20 meet got concluded, I have made that particular video. Please go and watch it if you have not done. Now, as we talk about the G20, one of an outcome of G20 was Biofuel Alliance. Biofuel Alliance. So, Biofuel Alliance was created. Now, what is this Biofuel Alliance? Now, first of all, what are biofuels? Biofuel is any fuel that is derived from plant or animal, okay, or any organism. That is a biofuel. So basically, we want to rely more on biofuel so that we can cut down on crude oil, mineral oil. Fine. So biofuels will be deployed. When we talk about biofuels, many examples are there of biofuel. For example, ethanol is a biofuel. We blend ethanol with petroleum. Okay. Then biodiesel is a biofuel. Okay. Then there is a compressed natural then there is a compressed natural gas that is there. Okay, biogas is there. All these are the example of biofuels. Now this particular article specifically is talking about the ethanol. It is talking about ethanol. Let's see what article is actually talking about. So basically, article says this particular thing, that when we talk about biofuels, it is not the point that you have used the word bio and it will become sustainable. Biofuels can be both sustainable as well as unsustainable. Biofuels can be both sustainable as well as unsustainable. Now, when we talk about, guys, biofuel in the context of India, largely we rely on ethanol, and that happens to be one of the most popular biofuel in the policy framework of India. Now, understand one particular thing understand one particular thing, that as we talk about ethanol, ethanol is blended with petroleum. Ethanol is blended with petroleum. Right now, 84% of oil requirements of India are met by import. And in government has taken the target that we will go for 20% ethanol blending by 25-26. Means in 1 liter of petrol, 200 ml of ethanol will be blended mandatorily. By this, we will be able to save a lot of cost. We will be able to save a lot of foreign exchange, which we are now giving when we are importing oil. Also, this ethanol will not have the carbon footprint as the petrol has. So, carbon footprint also come down. So, blending ethanol is a good policy initiative. But when we talk about in the context of India, ethanol, maximum ethanol that we are producing, it is 1G ethanol. That is the first generation ethanol. Now, what is the meaning of this first generation ethanol? So basically, guys, first generation ethanol is one which is derived from sugarcane and food grains. Okay, derived from sugarcane and food grain. Second generation ethanol is the one which is made from crop waste, crop residue. Okay, now the second generation ethanol actually is something which is more desirable. Why? Because you don't need sugarcane for that. Wastage, residues, they can you use sustainably, and ethanol you can produce. Now, in India, largest ethanol that we are deriving, it is from first generation ethanol. Now, guys, point is that, see, as we talk about India, we grow a lot of sugarcane, but sugarcane is a water intensive crop. Lot of water is needed for sugarcane. And because of that particular thing, guys, what has happened? Groundwater depletion is going on because farmers are growing sugarcane, and that sugarcane we are using for making ethanol. So this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable because at the end of the day, groundwater is getting depleted. So this is not sustainable. Okay. Now there are also many other problems that if we want to rely on ethanol, we should shift on second generation ethanol, not on first generation ethanol. There are many other problems also that we have. For example, guys, as we talk about India, in India, the as we talk about India, as we talk about India, understand this particular thing. Crop yields in India have stagnated. Per hectare productivity is not going up. Crop yield have been stagnated, but population is increasing every day. And as population is increasing every day, you need to use that sugarcane for feeding to people. How you will decide that whether the sugarcane will go for people or whether it will be used for ethanol? Okay. So our strategy of meeting blending target cannot depend on surplus crop production. We cannot say that we'll increase production and by that we'll make ethanol. No, that is not possible. So we should not depend on surplus crop production. Rather, we should divert to second generation ethanol. Second thing that has been provided is that groundwater depletion could triple between 2040 to 2081. So therefore, food production is something which should be prioritized more, and not we can use the sugarcane for fuel because anyhow it is using a lot of groundwater. The next, as we talk about agriculture sector is already emitting lot of greenhouse gas emissions. And what is happening? What is happening today? In order to, we will increase the footprint of sugarcane, and by that, then we say that we will use that sugarcane for making ethanol. That ethanol will be used in cars and vehicles. Emission will come down. But agriculture as a whole is a greenhouse gas emission activity. So this is not going to be a win-win situation. Now, here, guys, there are many reports that are there. For example, For example, there is Energy Transition Commission, and it has given bioresources within a net zero emission economy report. And they provide that the biomass should be prioritized more, and biomass should be used for making fuel, and that fuel should be used in aviation sector, road freights, okay, segments, fine, where the complete electrification cannot happen. For example, even in the railway, where complete electrification cannot be happened, their biomass is to be used, and that biomass can become one of a sustainable biofuel, not ethanol. Biomass. Then next, moving on further, it has also been provided that we need to triple up the biofuel production, but we need to do it sustainably. If you want to make more ethanol, it should be second generation ethanol. But and at the same time, other type of biofuels are also there that India should focus on. We should not rely only on ethanol, and that too first generation ethanol, because there will be a lot of cost associated with that. Moving on to next article, a mockery of pedagogic ethics, the breaking of a bond. Now, basically, guys, what this article is all about. So recently, you might have seen that this particular incident happened in Uttar Pradesh, where a teacher asked the fellow students to slap another student, and that another student was from a different religion. So this shows that the teacher's ethics are often weak. Teachers themselves don't have that sensibility, which they don't have the sensibility how they will be imparting it in the students. So weak pedagogic ethics, weak teaching ethics are there in India. Now, basically, it has been provided that when we talk about the right to education act that came, right to education act also laid emphasis on quality of education, but we have not given a lot of focus on teachers education. Now, see, a teacher who is going to impart education to the student, that teacher should be having good pedagogical skills. Teacher should have quality teacher should have such pedagogic qualities so that he can explain complex concepts in the most easy languages. So teacher education was a very important thing, but it has not been focused. And because of that, teachers' ethics are also weak. Now, article says this particular thing, that there was the National Council for Teacher Education who was responsible for designing the teachers' education framework, but it has largely failed. It has largely failed. Supreme Court Supreme Court appointed Justice J.S. Verma Commission to examine that what are the problems in the teacher training program. It provided some recommendations also that how teacher training program can be improved, but nothing has happened in this particular direction. Nothing has happened in this particular direction. Then, guys, further, in order to improve the teachers' education, there was a teacher commission report that was also brought. Now, this teacher commission was chaired by DP Chattopadhyay. Okay, and according to the teacher commission, it was provided that professional conduct should be built up in the adults who are aspiring to be the teachers. Teachers need to be well-read people. Teachers need to be well-read people. They should not know only the subject. They should be intellectuals. They should be thoughtful. They should be thoughtful. Who should be conscious about their decisions, that what they are doing, how it will impact. Their decision should bring only the positive change in the generation. So they should be thoughtful. They should be conscious about their decisions, about their actions. And this is very much important in India. But again, because of the bureaucratic red tape, much of these things have not been implemented. And nowadays, guys, what has happened? There is a reckless privatization of education going on. So many of private schools have opened up everywhere, where these schools are not concerned about the quality of teacher, rather they want to save some cost. And for that, even those people who are not equipped to teach, they are being brought. So this is something which is leading to all these problems. Okay, so we need to focus immediately on teachers education, teachers ethics. Then moving on to the next article. Protecting floodplains is the need of our. Protecting the floodplains is need of our. Now, this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, disaster management. GS paper number 3, disaster management. Now, basically, guys, understand this particular thing, that we find this particular thing, that floods, intensity of floods are increasing every coming year. And WHO has specifically warned that with the every coming year, frequency of floods is going to increase. And when we talk about, guys, flooding incidents, so recently there was a deadly flood in Pakistan which claimed more than 1700 lives. In India, if we see the history of the devastating floods, there was 2013 flood in Uttarakhand, 2014 flood in Kashmir Valley, then there have been flood in Chennai, Gujarat, and the 2023 devastating floods in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand has come. And these floods, they have claimed a lot of life and property. And according to the Geological Survey of India, 40 million hectares of land, 12% of total land area of India, it is prone to flooding. It means huge land is prone to flooding in India. And flooding also impacts Indian cities to a very large capacity. Now, urban flooding has become a very big phenomenon. Every year we see one or the other metropolitan city, it is flooded. Now, understand, as we talk about cities, cities are contributing largest chunk of GDP, and by 2030, 75% of India's GDP will come from urban areas, cities. Therefore, we need to protect our cities from floods. Fine. Moreover, flood also becomes a health issue, because once the flood water recedes, it leads to a lot of vector borne and such kind of infectious disease also. Now, in India, we have the Disaster Management Act. In India, we have the Disaster Management Act. And under the Disaster Management Act, we have the Disaster Management Authority, which is responsible for all the disasters. But it provides that the disasters cannot be predicted. Fine. Yes, disasters cannot be predicted, but certain disasters are man-made. And it is indicative that this might lead to disaster anyhow. For example, when these landslides, let's say the sinking of Joshimath that is happening in Uttarakhand, it is being said that largely it is man-made. So when so much of construction was going on, we should have anticipated that it will lead to disaster. So in such a way, disaster could be, could be uh, predicted if we are careful on the developmental patterns that we have adopted in past. Now, it is being provided that when we talk about Europe, in European countries, there is a different kind of basically there is a transition from, for example, the countries such as Germany, UK, Netherlands, they are moving to flood risk management opposed to flood protection. Means when flood has come, how to get protected. Rather than that, how flood risk could be managed. That strategy is being used in these countries. Okay, and that India should also focus upon. And when we talk about the flood risk management, before the flood comes, they will manage the risk, they will reduce the risk. And how that can happen? By ensuring that the floodplains are restored. Floodplains are restored. Now, what are these floodplains? Suppose, guys, this is the course of a river. Now, when more water will come in river will flood in this particular region. And this particular region is a kind of a buffer zone, which will absorb all that excess water. It is a flood plain. But what we do, we construct buildings on this particular flood plain. And therefore, then we say that the vulnerability has come. So floodplains are needed to be restored. In the case of India, there is large scale encroachment going on floodplains. Okay, illegal construction going on in floodplains and largely into the major cities. So laws in India that were meant to protect the environment, they have become ineffective, and these encroachments have not been stopped. So we need to understand that first of all, these encroachments, this mad development is to be stopped. After that particular thing, we also need to understand this particular thing, that there is a systemic comprehensive approach that is needed. Now, climate change is becoming real, and as climate change is coming, we find this particular thing, that intensity of flood, climate extremes will increase. So there is cross sectoral collaboration that is to be done. Okay, different ministries, different departments, they need to come together and need to do a collaboration. So this is going to be a complex exercise. Multitude of laws, they are needed to be integrated. Urban development that is happening. Okay, different ministries, multiple laws, they are to be synchronized together, and comprehensively this particular issue is to be dealt upon. So that is about it. Now, moving on to next article. Government will protect industry from European Union's carbon law goal. Now, guys, this is just this is just a small issue that we'll understand here. So basically, what has happened? European Union has come out with the carbon border adjustment mechanism. Carbon border adjustment mechanism. Now, understand this particular thing. Now, what is this carbon border adjustment mechanism? See, European Union in past European Union in past has come out with the stringent laws in order to reduce the carbon emissions. Fine. And what happened as a result? Industries in Europe, what they did, they outsourced the carbon intensive activities to other countries such as China, India, and underdeveloped countries. And they started importing those goods which had a lot of emission from other countries. Okay. Now, what is happening? European Union is coming out with the carbon border adjustment mechanism. And under this carbon border adjustment mechanism, all the importers who are importing such as aluminium, steel, fertilizers, etc., they have to report. They have to report. For example, there is an XYZ company. There is an XYZ company in any European Union country, and it is importing aluminium. It is importing aluminium. From where? It is importing aluminium from India, let's say. Now, when in India aluminium is being manufactured, obviously there will be a lot of emission. So this XYZ company has to report that how much emission was committed while making this aluminium. Okay, in India. Now, if it is higher than the norms of European Union, then penalties will be imposed, higher duties, not actually the penalties, but the higher duties will be imposed. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. When we talk about China, India, obviously their norms are not as stringent as the norms of European Union are. Okay, and if these high taxes, high duties will be imposed, then what will happen? Goods coming from India, China will become uncompetitive, and India has a concern out of that. So India is opposing this carbon border adjustment mechanism. But as of now, the talks are going on, and we need to see that what concrete takeaway comes out of this. Aditya L1 mission. Aditya L1 mission pursues the enigma of space weather. Now, uh, guys, I have discussed this particular article at least 12, 13 times when this Aditya L1 was launched. We have discussed that what the Aditya L1 is going to do. Okay. So again, the same thing has been repeated. Okay. If you want, you can skip this particular section. The same things have been repeated. Now, when we talk about guys the sun, so there are a lot of phenomena which are there are a lot of climatic phenomena not on the earth but in the outer space that are being driven by the sun. I just want to give you two incidents that have been reported here in this particular article. So basically what happened in 1989, in 1989, what happened? The power grid in Canada, it went down. Okay. Then we found this particular thing that in February 2020, an entire batch of SpaceX Starlink communication satellites, they fell out of their orbit. Why? Because of the solar, it is because, why? It is because they were victims of bad space weather. So bad space weather, it impacts the satellites. Bad space weather at the ground impacts electricity generation utilities. It impacts components within the satellite. Are you getting it or not? Sun is constantly emitting charged particles. These charged particles interfere in the functioning of equipments that are on board on satellites. And therefore, we need to understand what this phenomena, we need to understand the climatic phenomena that is being getting impacted by the sun. And for that, India has launched the ISRO. My apologies. India has launched the Aditya L1 satellite, which is going to explore sun and will try to understand the climatic weather phenomena that is impacted by sun. This Aditya L1 will be stationed at Lagrange point L1, which is 1.5 kilometers away from Earth, between Earth and sun. This L1 point, there this Aditya satellite will be stationed, and it will continuously observe and monitor the sun as well as the changing local environment in the vicinity of sun, and will report that information minutes ahead to India. Now, when we talk about guys sun, you know this particular thing that sun is energy powerhouse. Okay, there is energy that is being generated through nuclear fusion in the core of sun, and temperature in the core of sun are more than 15 million degree Celsius, and density at the core of the sun is 20 times more than that of iron, and a lot of plasma in the sun. It is twisting, churning, and that plasma, it is creating vast electric currents, and powerful magnetic fields. These electric currents, powerful magnetic fields, they disturb the weather phenomena, they disturb the equipments that are on board on the satellites, and a lot of other unintended consequences are also there because of this huge magnetic fields and electric currents that are being emitted by the sun. Now, when we talk about guys sun, we still don't understand about this. Sir, it is 1.5 kilometer from Earth. Yes. Still, we don't understand about a lot of phenomena of the sun. There is one mystery. For example, when we talk about the surface of the sun, the photosphere, temperature there is a 6,000 degrees. But the atmosphere of sun, corona, their temperature rises to million degree, 1 million degree. How? How the environment here, it is more hot than the surface of the sun? We still don't know that particular thing. So for observing all these particular things, Aditya L1 has been launched. It will reach around in 4 months to at its designated place, and then it will relay information on Earth. So this is all guys about it. Now moving on to the main practice question for today. India saw the devastating effects of rain induced floods and landslides this year, which points to the severity of situation and the urgent need to tackle it. In this regard, discuss efforts taken by India to control flood. So GS paper number 3, 10 marker question. That is all guys about it. And with this, we come to an end to the today's session. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you so much.